My wife, 34, and I, 32, have been together for 8 years. When she told me about the business trip she was planning on taking, I thought it was a little odd because she worked as a bank teller. But she actually showed me a company email she got, explaining that all employees were to receive paid training over the course of 1 weekend in Tennessee. What she forgot to do, though, was turn off location share on her phone, which led me to discover that she was actually at a bar. So you can imagine how surprised I was to see her at the bar, sitting with another man. I watched them drink a lot over the course of 3 hours from the opposite side of the restaurant. I told my closest friend that I saw my wife was there, even though she was supposed to be on a business trip. He was shocked and asked me what I was going to do. I decided to start filming. I was super upset when I caught a kiss on video. My friend tried to console me, but nothing was going to help at that moment. Eventually, they left, and I followed them at a distance. My wife got in the driver's seat of the man's car, leaving hers at the bar. I didn't like this at all. It was super unsettling. As I watched her drive, she had trouble staying on the road. I decided to call the cops on her and gave them the license plate of the man's car. I followed them from a distance of about half a mile on the highway before a cop found them. She was swerving pretty badly, even more than when I called them. I then saw her get pulled over before going around them. I was so pleased. With what I knew at this point, my wife had some consequences due. I then drove off to a secluded area and sat there thinking about what happened until I got a phone call. It was my wife, calling from the police station. She asked me to bear with her while she told me one hell of a story. She said her business trip was canceled, so she went to the bar with her friends before coming home. She said her car was left at the bar because her friend was driving her home. That's when she stopped, realizing she made a mistake in her story. She was being charged with a DUI and needed me to bail her out, but she just accidentally told me her friend was driving her home. If that was the case, she wouldn't be charged with a DUI. Besides that, she probably knew I was going to ask who her friend was. In her absolute frustration, she hung up on me. I didn't even get a chance to ask her anything. I found out later that she called her dad before calling me back. Apparently, she got lots of phone calls from jail. The only reason she called me back was because her dad refused to bail her out. She said she had to tell me the truth, but hoped I would hear her out and be understanding. She said she was driving her friend home when she got pulled over and arrested for a DUI. After my initial freak out over the news, I asked her who her friend was and how she planned to get home if her friend was too drunk to drive. She said she was going to spend time there, maybe sleep over while she sobered up. Okay, but who was her friend? She only gave me the name of Sarah. She said she didn't know her last name. How silly. I warned her that if I was going to bail her out, I was going to ask the police who she was with when she was arrested. This stunned her, and she probably wondered if the police would tell me that information. At this point, she was in a corner, so she agreed and begged me to come get her. I said I would but didn't. I called her company to speak with her boss. I asked if they canceled an employee training seminar scheduled for this weekend in Tennessee, but she had no idea what I was talking about. I thanked her for her time, but before I got off the phone, I let her know that my wife was being charged with a DUI and served divorce papers, so she probably wouldn't be into work for a while. She would have a lot to explain to her boss and coworkers if she wasn't fired. I couldn't bail her out. I had to let her pay the price for her foolishness. She lied to my face and created a fake company email to show me. I never would have known she was with another man if I didn't go to the same bar by chance. I had a video of them kissing, and along with her arrest, it was the perfect time to file for divorce. When she was pulled over, she was in his car and driving toward his home. She must have planned to spend the whole weekend with him, since that's what she fabricated the lie for. That proves to me that she was going to sleep with him repeatedly, or already has. She was absolutely broken when she was released. She tried to rekindle the relationship with the man in question, but he wasn't interested anymore. Pretty pathetic if you ask me. She gave up our 8-year-long relationship for someone who didn't want her after 3 months. Sometimes I wish this was all a bad dream and she really did go on a business trip. She's actually told me on a voicemail that she wishes the same thing. Meanwhile, I'm still happy she got a DUI and caught in the epic way she was. I can't imagine what would have happened if I never found her that night. I might have avoided raising a bastard child. For that reason alone, I'm grateful. OP. I am sorry you had to experience the shock and betrayal of finding your wife at a bar with another man. You thought you could trust her, and she was where she said she was. That proved to be false, which leads me to believe you made the right decision to divorce. It would have only been a matter of time before she tried to sneak away again. She didn't seem remorseful beyond the fact that she was caught. When someone goes as far as forging evidence to prove their lie is trustworthy, that is a red flag. I have hope for you, OP. You seem like a strong and wise individual who won't have much of a problem moving on from this. You were very clever to call the police on her for drunk driving. Not only was she disrespecting you and cheating, she was putting other people's lives at risk. I hope she's learned her lesson, and I wish nothing but the very best going forward. Now let's get into today's second story. I'm about to tell you one messed up story that I can't believe happened to me. First, let's start off with some background information. I had a really big family with lots of siblings, uncles, aunts, cousins, and spouses, and offspring of those relatives. We had lots of family gatherings and big dinners. Ever since we started dating, I would bring Laylee, my girlfriend then wife, to lots of social family events. I was 34 and Laylee, my future wife, was 31 when I proposed. In my parents' opinion, I made them wait a very long time for this to happen. So when we got engaged, they hosted a really big engagement party with all my relatives in attendance. Laylee didn't have any family. At first it was hard for me to believe, but she really didn't have any family. She had foster parents that moved away as soon as she turned 18 and started living on her own. Before I proposed, I warned Laylee that I could not have children of my own. I became a cancer survivor by the age of 14, and infertility was one of the consequences from that. She told me she didn't mind, and we would adopt if we ever wished to have children. The engagement party was a huge success. It was a wonderful night for both of us, surrounded by friends and my, now supposedly our, family. I was so relieved to have found the woman I wanted to spend my life with. 1 month after our engagement party, I got the greatest surprise of my life. Laylee told me she was pregnant. I was ecstatic. I didn't know how it was possible, I only accepted it as a miracle. I called my parents and told them right away. I had to move the phone away from my ear because of their excited screams. It came as no surprise when my parents couldn't contain their excitement anymore and sent out invites to a baby shower. When we looked at the invites my mom designed, my fiancé looked disheartened. She blamed it on pregnancy hormones, but I could have sworn she felt shame or embarrassment. I couldn't imagine why, and I tried to ask if this was the case, but she assured me she was fine. During the party, I was on cloud 9. I was practically high on life and becoming a father, so I didn't realize my fiancé was gone for a bit. My younger brother pulled me aside and told me I needed to see my fiancé. I was immediately concerned. We went upstairs and stopped just outside the spare bedroom door. I could hear her crying and softly speaking to someone. Another man. This man, I quickly realized, sounded exactly like my older brother. I looked at my younger brother, Tommy, with my jaw dropped as I listened, completely stunned. His expression seemed to acknowledge that he knew the man in the bedroom with my fiancé was our oldest brother, Louis. Louis was furious. He was calling Laylee names, telling her that she should have taken Plan B or had an abortion instead of telling me she was pregnant. He said they were in one hell of a mess because of her stupidity. He offered the reasoning that since they couldn't tell anyone the baby was his, maybe she could fall down the stairs or do something to miscarry. Laylee was the first one to come out, and we stared at each other. Louis came out shortly after, hopefully not planning to push Lily down the stairs, and froze when he saw us. I was having an out-of-body experience when I attacked my brother. I don't remember the moments I was beating him, but I do remember when 5 of my family members pulled me off of him. That's when I realized there was lots of yelling and crying. Lots of questions and accusations. I looked Lily in the eyes through all the people crowding the hallway when I announced that the wedding was off. I stumbled down the stairs, so Tommy came to my side and drove me to his apartment. Apparently, the mass chaos took a while to simmer down after I left. Since I discovered them and the secret was out, Louis announced that he was the father of Lily's child. Everyone gasped, some people cried, many of my cousins started yelling at Louis. getting in his face and calling him out for being so self-centered and inconsiderate. Lewis didn't feel remorse for what he'd done, only that he was caught. In his mind, this was Lily's problem because she didn't take care of it. Since he found all of the family criticism less than desirable, he left. He found a woman to stay with in the next state over. While I grieved, my family members took turns staying with me at my house or having me stay with them at their house. My dream of getting married and having a child was gone just as quickly as it appeared, but in that short amount of time, I had invested so much hope and energy. I felt drained and discouraged, but apparently this was nothing compared to what Lily was going through. Immediately after the hellish baby shower, she found herself homeless. Without me or my family's support, she was alone. After spending a few days on the streets, she managed to find a room to stay in with a roommate. She continuously messaged me, even though I would rarely reply. I was in recovery mode. It felt like I was in shock for a while after this because I was also coping with the betrayal of my brother. She would ask me to spend time with her because of how badly she wanted companionship, especially as she neared the due date of the baby without any plan or way to support it. I told her no. She needed to handle herself because this was the consequence of her choice. If she needed to, of course, she could put the child up for adoption, but that was not my concern. Wow, OP. Your story just goes to show that cheating never happens without consequences for those involved. Even though your fiancé tried to hide the fact that you were not the father, the truth came out. It's shocking that she would cheat on you with your brother, and that your brother would also go behind your back. That's devastating news. It is a relief to hear that, even though you had to go through this level of betrayal, you had lots of family support. I am so glad you discovered the truth. You basically have an opportunity to get your life back. I wish you the best going forward. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, comment below with your thoughts on what happened. Take care.